Caitlin Clark is not just a basketball player, she is a cultural shift, a generational force who changed how the world views women's basketball. In an era hungry for stars who blend skill with personality, Clark emerged not by following the blueprint, but by tearing it apart. Her deep-range shots, fearless confidence, and ability to command the spotlight transformed college basketball arenas into must-watch events and turned casual viewers into lifelong fans. This is the story of how Caitlin Clark became more than an athlete, she became a movement. Born on January 22, 2002, in West Des Moines, Iowa, Caitlin Clark grew up in a family that valued competition. Sports were not just activities in the Clark household, they were a way of life. Caitlin played basketball against boys from an early age, developing toughness, speed, and an edge that would later define her style. She wasn't protected by expectations, she was challenged by them. That early exposure to intense competition sharpened her instincts and built a fearless approach to the game. From the beginning, Caitlin Clark played with a scorer's mindset. While others learned the fundamentals cautiously, she pushed boundaries. She took shots that coaches usually discouraged: deep threes, quick releases, logo range attempts. But what separated Clark from other young shooters was efficiency. These weren't reckless shots, they were calculated weapons. Even as a teenager, she understood spacing, timing, and defensive pressure at an elite level. At Dowling Catholic High School, Clark quickly became a phenomenon. She shattered records, led her team to championships, and drew national attention. Recruiting offers poured in from top programs across the country. Yet, in a decision that would define her legacy, Caitlin Clark chose to stay home and commit to the University of Iowa. It wasn't the glamorous choice, but it was the meaningful one. She didn't want to join a super team, she wanted to build one. When Caitlin Clark arrived at Iowa, expectations were high, but few could predict the magnitude of what was coming. From her very first season, she played like the game already belonged to her. She scored at will, created for teammates, and carried an offense with maturity beyond her years. Defenses struggled to adjust because Clark didn't just attack from one spot, she attacked everywhere. The moment she crossed half court, defenders panicked. Her sophomore season marked a turning point. Caitlin Clark became the face of women's college basketball. Night after night, she delivered performances that felt unreal: 40-point games, triple-doubles, game winners from impossible distances. But more importantly, she made people watch. Television ratings climbed. Arenas sold out. Social media clips went viral. Clark didn't just play the game, she marketed it without trying. What made Caitlin Clark special wasn't just her scoring ability, but her basketball IQ. She read defenses like a chess grandmaster, manipulating help defenders and creating open looks for teammates. Her passing was just as dangerous as her shooting, forcing opponents into impossible choices. Guard her closely, and she would dish a no-look assist. Give her space, and she would punish you with a three. As her stardom grew, so did the pressure. With attention comes criticism, and Caitlin Clark faced plenty. Some questioned her confidence, mistaking it for arrogance. Others criticized her emotional reactions on the court. But Clark never backed down. She embraced the spotlight and used criticism as fuel. In big moments, when the noise was loudest, she was at her best. The NCAA tournament became Caitlin Clark's stage. Each March, she delivered iconic moments that elevated her legend. Her performances against top-ranked teams weren't just wins, they were statements. She went toe-to-toe with the best players in the country and proved she belonged at the center of the conversation. Rivalries intensified, especially those that symbolized contrasting styles and personalities. These matchups drew millions of viewers and turned women's basketball into appointment television. Beyond the numbers and highlights, Caitlin Clark changed perception. She proved that women's basketball could be bold, confident, and unapologetically entertaining. Young players began pulling up from deeper range, mimicking her style. Coaches adjusted strategies to account for a new kind of offensive threat. Clark didn't just influence games, she influenced how the sport was played. Her leadership evolved alongside her game. As a senior, Caitlin Clark carried not only the scoring load, but the emotional weight of her team. She became a vocal leader, setting the tone with effort and accountability. Teammates fed off her energy, trusting her in the biggest moments. Win or lose, she never hid. She owned every outcome. Statistically, Caitlin Clark's achievements are historic. She climbed the all-time scoring charts, rewriting record books that once seemed untouchable. But her true impact can't be measured by points alone. She brought new audiences to women's basketball, inspired media coverage, and created opportunities for future athletes. Sponsors noticed. Networks invested. The ripple effect extended far beyond Iowa. Off the court, Clark remained grounded. She spoke openly about pressure, expectations, and the responsibility that comes with being a role model. She understood that her success carried meaning for young girls watching from home, dreaming of their own chance to shine. She didn't shy away from that responsibility, she embraced it. As her college career reached its conclusion, the question wasn't whether Caitlin Clark was great, it was how far her influence would reach. She entered the next phase of her journey as one of the most anticipated players in women's basketball history. Wherever she goes, attention follows. Wherever she plays, the game grows. Caitlin Clark's legacy is still unfolding, but her impact is already undeniable. She proved that confidence is not something to apologize for. She showed that skill deserves the spotlight. And she reminded the world that women's basketball is not the future, it is the present. This is not just the story of a shooter with deep range. It is the story of a player who changed expectations, broke barriers, and inspired a generation to believe bigger. Caitlin Clark didn't wait for permission to be great, she took it. This is Buzz Legacy, where moments become legends. Like, share, and subscribe, because this story is only getting bigger.